Do you want to know if betta fish can live with guppies? Well, there is no short answer to this question, but the answer does lean closer to yes. However, there are so many circumstances that need to be considered, such as how aggressive or placid your betta is, how big the tank is, and what other fish you have in the tank. With that being said, here's a guide which will help you decide whether you should introduce guppies to your betta. So if you want to know if your betta fish can live with guppies, here are a few things to consider. The first thing you want to consider is the pH level and temperature. When you plan on adding any different species of fish to your tank, you need to make sure that they can survive in the same conditions as your betta. Guppies come from South America and are found in rivers and lakes, whereas bettas are found in rice paddies and streams in Southeast Asia. On paper, it seems like they wouldn't survive in the same conditions, but luckily they do. Guppies need a pH of 6.8 to 7.8 and a temperature between 74 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Bettas need a pH of 7 and a temperature between 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. As you can see, guppies and bettas are able to live in the same conditions together. Another indicator is the gender of your betta and guppies. The gender of your fish is going to determine the likelihood that they can live together. As you know, male bettas are extremely aggressive, and while female bettas aren't as bad, that doesn't mean they can't be hostile. Sometimes they can be worse because they're faster than the males. So can you keep a male betta and male guppies together? This is the worst combination you can have in your tank. Male guppies are the ones that are brightly coloured with flowing tails, both things that trigger aggression and territorial instinct in bettas. Putting a male guppy and male betta together is going to spell trouble and most likely result in the death of your guppies. What about male bettas and female guppies? Female guppies look a lot duller than male guppies, so it's possible that you could add them to the tank with your betta. However, if you have a female guppy that's too colourful, then the end result could also be bad. So while it's possible to put female guppies with a male, caution is still advised. Female bettas and male guppies. Female bettas aren't as aggressive as males, so you think it would be okay to put male guppies in with them. However, for the most part, you should definitely avoid this. Male guppies often mistake female bettas for guppies and try to breed with them. Obviously, the betta won't be pleased with this and may end up attacking the guppies. What about female bettas and female guppies? This is one of the best combination of guppies and bettas you can have in your tank. While female bettas are still aggressive, they won't be as aggressive as males, and female guppies are less likely to trigger aggression in female bettas. So if you're desperate to house bettas and guppies together, this is your best bet. However, one thing to watch out for is that many bettas may mistake a female guppy as a sorority sister, which is when you group many female bettas together. When this happens, female bettas may bully your guppy to establish a pecking order. What part of the tank do guppies occupy? Guppies often like to swim in the middle of the tank and around the top. This can sometimes cause problems if your guppies start swimming into your betta's territory. However, once your betta has established which area is his, it is less likely guppies will swim there, unless there's food. How many guppies can you keep with your betta? If you plan on keeping fish with your betta, it's important that your tank is big enough to house both. As a rule of thumb, you want to have 1 gallon of water for every inch of fish in your tank. However, you'll also be housing a betta with your guppies, so you're going to want a bit more extra room. Personally, I wouldn't go any smaller than a 10-gallon tank that houses 1 betta and 3 guppies, and with every 5 gallons I'd add an additional 3 guppies. This is going to be beneficial because it will make sure that your fish have plenty of room to stay out of each other's way. Normally when housing guppies you should have 1 male for every 2 females, but because of the increased likelihood of aggression, try to stick to females to minimise the chances of attack. Do guppies nip fins? When you add guppies to your tank, you shouldn't just worry about your betta attacking them. You should also think about whether they're going to attack your betta. Fin rot, which is a disease that eats away the fins of your fish, leading to death if not treated, is more occurrent in fish that have their fins nipped. This is due to stress and open sores. And remember, male guppies are territorial too, mostly with their own species. However, it's not uncommon for them to attack and nip other species as well, especially if they have long flowing tails and are brightly coloured. This is another reason why you should consider only adding female guppies to your tank. Aggression and territorial instinct in female guppies is extremely rare and the chances of them nipping and fighting are low. What do guppies eat? As you know already, bettas need meat to survive. On top of fish flakes or pellets, you should also be feeding them meat as well, and guppies have the same requirements. So if you plan on feeding your betta mosquito larvae, daphnia or bloodworms, then your guppy will eat them too. You don't need to feed guppies too much either. Up to 3 times a day is adequate, but if you want to keep their feeding schedule in time with your bettas, then 2 times a day will work too. And just like with bettas, every once in a while it's okay for guppies to go a day without food. Guppies will also eat algae in your tank. They won't be able to keep your tank clean, but they will help remove some of the buildup. What do you do if guppies are eating your bettas' food? As you know, guppies and bettas eat the same food. The difference is, while bettas need to have meat in their diet, it's optional for guppies. So if you notice your guppies are eating all the live food, then you're going to have to do something about it. There are 2 methods you can try. The first thing you can try is to feed your betta at one end of the tank and then feed your guppies at the other end. You should drip feed food in both ends a little bit at a time. Once your betta has eaten enough, then you can pour everything else in. The second thing you can do is try to use a net to keep your guppies away from your betta when he's feeding. Here are some precautions you can take to make sure bettas and guppies live together peacefully. If you're dead set on moving guppies in with your betta, add a lot of plant life and hiding places into your tank. This is one of the best things you can do because it's going to give your guppies a place to hide from your betta if something bad does happen. As well as this, it's also going to mean your betta has places it can stay safe. Some great plants to add are Anubias, Java fern, hornwort, anacharis, betta bulbs and Java moss. Before adding bettas and guppies together, you should have a tank spare or a tank divider which you can use to keep your fish separated if something goes wrong. Make sure that if you do plan on housing male guppies with male bettas, that you try to keep the guppies as plain as possible. Sometimes it can be better to add a betta fish after you've added all the other fish. This way it's not going to feel like its territory is being threatened, because it won't have any territory yet. So do you have a better understanding? I hope you found the information in this YouTube video informative. If so, then you should have a better understanding of when it's acceptable to add guppies and when to avoid them. And just to reiterate, here are some of the main points. The biggest factor that is going to decide whether guppies can live in your tank is your betta. If your betta has a good temperament, then it may not mind living with guppies, male or female. However, it's so important to remember that bettas do tend to be aggressive and should have a fail-safe just in case. You should try to avoid using guppies that look similar to male bettas, and if possible, try to house female guppies with female bettas. If you plan on adding guppies to your tank, make sure you use a tank with plenty of space. I personally wouldn't go any smaller than 10 gallons, and to be safe, you should have 5 gallons of water extra for every 3 guppies. You may notice your guppies taking your betta's food or fin nipping. If you notice this, try to isolate the guppy that is doing it and move it to a separate tank. And most importantly, there are plenty of times bettas and guppies have coexisted in tanks together, but this doesn't mean your betta will do the same. You have to be fully prepared for any betta fish to turn on any other fish in their tank because it's in their nature. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you want to know about more fish that can live with your betta, make sure you check out the Ultimate Betta Tank Mate Guide. You'll learn about 68 different tank mates that can live with your betta, as well as fish to avoid. So if you want to know more, click on the link in the description. Have a great day.